This is a major red alert warning. The Pentagon just warned that these new weapons are being deployed. These communication blackout weapons have been deployed, and top Pentagon officials for the White House are saying that communications could go offline for a year plus. That's what they're warning of, and that's what they're preparing for at the highest levels. They are discussing this at the Biden administration, right? So let's get into the details here really quick. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, keeping you guys updated every single day, multiple times a day on this urgent news, and it helps to get these warnings out. All right, so top Pentagon officials just warned. This is your red alert to have alternative forms of communications, cell phone, landlines, satellites, all this stuff, because they're saying a comms blackout. Comms weapons are being deployed, and we could see a comms blackout for a year plus. That's what the Pentagon is warning of right now, and this is not a joke. All right, so let's dive into the details here. You can see here, guys, this was just put out. It says Pentagon officials warn of Russian anti-satellite nuclear weapon that could be devastating. All right, you can see this article was just put out May 1st. You can see here it says a senior Defense Department official told lawmakers Wednesday that Russia is developing a, quote, indiscriminate anti-satellite nuclear device that would pose a threat to all satellites operated by countries and companies around the world. All right, so, and they're saying this could lead to a year-long blackout of communication devices and affect the supply chain, agriculture, all the stuff affect GPS. Everything would be affected by this. We could have a year-long plus blackout, and they're saying this could cause societal chaos as well. It says, asked about the potential effect of such a weapon, Plum said, low Earth orbit, the most common orbit for satellites, would be rendered unusable for possibly up to a year because of the radiation from a nuclear detonation. It is difficult to estimate the precise impact of such a weapon depending on the size of a nuclear explosion, Plum said. But he said a rough assessment would suggest, quote, satellites that aren't hardened against a nuclear detonation in space, which is most satellites, could be damaged and affected, and some would be caught in an immediate blast. And said Plum's comments are the first time the Biden administration has discussed the potential Russian anti-satellite capability at an open congressional hearing. Right? Actually, China has the same exact weapon technology as well. They call it a, quote, satellite killer weapon. Right? But you saw that there it says possibly up to a year because of the radiation from a nuclear detonation. Right? So even if they just detonated over the ocean in the atmosphere, all these satellites are moving around the Earth constantly. Okay? And even if it was just over the ocean and this entire region of the atmosphere over the ocean is radiated, the satellites are going to move through it at some point, most likely. They could target where most of them are moving through for North American satellites, and they could even target satellites like SpaceX because that is the backbone of the Ukrainian drone and missile systems inside of Ukraine. They use SpaceX satellites and systems to operate all of their military operations around the globe. The U.S. military does. They have their own satellites, but SpaceX satellites are actually the main backbone of a lot of their operations, especially in foreign places, right? So we could see blackouts of these communications, and they're even saying that this could affect everything. Agriculture, everything would be affected by this. And this is actually something that House Intelligence Committee Chair Mike Turner questions and brought up actually in February in a cryptic public statement demanding the White House declassify information about an unnamed, quote, serious national security threat. Right? I don't know if you remember that. They were talking about this weapon systems a few months ago, right? And these things are already deployed. China has the same weapon systems. Russia has the same thing. They're already deployed and in use, but they're finally coming out and revealing it, okay? I'm not sure. The US probably has the same weapon systems as well, right? But you can see here in written testimony to lawmakers, Plum said the Russian capability under development could pose a threat to all satellites operated by countries and companies around the globe, as well as to the vital communications, scientific, meteorological, agricultural, commercial, and national security services we all depend on. Alright, so everything could be wiped out. The radar systems, agriculture, all these combines, they operate by GPS. They need these very precise GPS satellites to guide them. All these things depend on it, and also the supply chains as well depend on it. Everyone needs GPS. Nobody knows how to get around anymore. Everyone getting to work and driving out of town, anywhere. People are using GPS and these GPS apps on their phone, which use satellite systems. Right? So all these things could go offline, and that could cause major stoppages to supply chains, everything. The food supply. You could see here on Tuesday, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, without citing the specific weapon being developed from Russia, said at another House hearing that a nuclear detonation in space, quote, would have devastating consequences on a lot of our capabilities in space. Not only our capabilities, but the capabilities of other countries. And he said, quote, we think it's irresponsible for anybody to even consider deploying or employing a nuclear device in space. All right, so essentially these are EMP weapons that would be detonated very high in the atmosphere, right? And this could even potentially affect communications on the ground if enough radiation travels through the atmosphere and hits telecommunications on the ground. It depends how far they want to take things. That's what I was saying. They could do this over the ocean, so that way it's kind of inconspicuous, like who did they really hit, you know? And they could just say it's a test. Anyone could do this. This could happen. Any country could just say, oh, test gone wrong. We were testing this weapon over the ocean and it wiped out these satellites. And if these satellites are disturbed in any way as well, this could cause a cascading effect where the satellites start ramming into each other. And we have a bunch of space junk as well, right? Because the blast wave could knock some of the satellites off their trajectory, right? They're on a set path and they're all kind of like trying to go around each other. I've looked at the live maps of them, and some of them are pretty close, right? They're at different altitudes, things like that, but they're still pretty close. And it could knock some of them off where they get into these wonky trajectories, and now they're starting to collide into each other, clash into each other as well. And this is exactly what we're worried about with things like EMPs from the sun, is that there's some kind of excess radiation events happening high in the atmosphere that wipes out telecommunications, wipes out satellites. And this could even happen with weapon systems too. All right, so make sure you're getting prepared. Even satellite, we have satellite internet. Now they're saying the satellites might go out. It's like, you can't win. You can't win. There's gonna, if they're gonna flip the switch on whatever system they want, they're gonna flip the switch. But this is one of the main ones. They're not gonna let this go. They're not just gonna let these satellites go down, because this is all involved with SpaceX, Starlink, all that stuff. It's all the military. It's all the backbone of the military, right? And it's their eye in the sky. It's what's it called? The start of, what's the dystopian? What is it called? And Terminator, Skynet. I had to cut it off for a second and think for a second. It's setting up the Skynet. All right, this is their Skynet. They control all the drones, everything's going to be autonomous soon. Autonomous military, autonomous soldiers, autonomous tanks, planes, everything. Right? And it's going to be controlled through these satellites. They're setting up the Skynet system. That's really the future of this warfare. Is they already do it with drones and everything. But think of it even more advanced. DARPA already has these humanoid-like soldiers that can carry a bunch of weight, run around, fall over, get knocked over. They can have attached weapons to them. All this stuff. They're doing these systems, and they're gonna be controlled with the satellites. Right? So, and Russia could even, a foreign country, anyone, could even do this over their own country. They can say, we're testing this stuff over Russia, and you shouldn't have had your satellite there, right? You shouldn't have had your satellites over Russia. We were doing this test, and they got wiped out, right? It could even be something along those lines, so there's some kind of plausible deniability here, right? So make sure you guys are getting prepared and ready. Have fail-safes. The congressmen and senators, or I guess it was senators last year, they were offered satellite phones, right? So they want to keep the satellites up as long as possible. That's their main thing, right? Because cell phones might go out, things like that, but that's what the military operates with, is satellite communications. That's the one that they're going to highly protect, right? So it's a safe bet, but these systems could be targeted as well because they are so important. So have a cell phone, have wired internet, have a sat phone, have ham radio, all these things, different forms, fail safes. Have your garden, have your chicks. All right, I was showing you guys the chicken coop yesterday because it's critical. All right, I wanted to emphasize how important this is and what we're doing, what we're working on our homestead, because the time is now. It's go time to get ready, and they're getting prepared, right? And World War III, whatever you want to call this, the next major war that we're entering into, it seems like it's going to be different. It's going to be a lot different. And people aren't as ready and prepared. People don't have victory gardens. People don't have the same skills, survival skills that they had before. People don't know how to can. They don't know how to grow. All these things. And that's just how it is. It's a generation lost. And it's our duty to try to regain these skills. I'm talking to myself too. I'm trying to relearn all these things for my family and get all these skills under my belt because it's important. And if we see all these things go offline, then they're going to be even more important. Knowing how to bake your own stuff, make your own food with just some flour, some salt, some yeast, some water, right? Make your own bread, make your own goods, growing your own food, have your own eggs, have your own chickens, have your own milk, your own cows. All this stuff, it's going to be extremely important because everyone had that before. So we were able to absorb the impact, the economic impact, the supply chain impacts that a major war had, right? Great Depression, World War II, all this stuff. It kind of went together, right? And people were able to really get through it because they had these systems already set up. It wasn't a big deal. If there was major shortages, at least we have our garden. At least we have our animals. We can eat a chicken or two if we really need to, right? That's how it is. And that's how it was. Might have to eat a couple of them, right? They're not all for eggs. Some of them are for eating too. And we need to get back to that place so we are prepped, ready, resilient, just in case anything like this happens. So thank you guys. Please hit it up for me down there. It helps to get these warnings out. And people need to know this is what they're preparing for at the highest levels. Our Pentagon is, and the Biden administration is seriously considering this as a real threat now. Right? Quote, serious national security threat. So thank you guys. Get yourself ready. Don't be scared. Be prepared, right? We need to know what's going on. We need to stay on top of the information so we are ahead of the curve and prepared for things that are coming next, right? That's why it's critical to stay on top of these things. But don't let it stress you out or get you down. Every time I see something that's another notch in the belt, that's to get prepared. Another notch to be like, all right, tighten the belt. Another, get a notch to tighten it. Another, make the belt a little tighter. All right, make another notch in it. Just squeeze it a little tighter because we need to buckle up, right? And prepare more. Don't give up. Go harder. Stay motivated. All right, that's what these articles are here for, and what the stuff's here for. What these videos are here for is to get prepared. Don't be scared of this stuff. Be prepared and be ready. So when this happens, you're not running around with a chicken with their head cut off. You're just chilling at your house. You're like, yep, I knew this was going to happen. I knew the power was going to go out, or the communications were going to go out. I already knew. I'm already ready. We're ready. Like, our power went out last month, and as soon as it went out, I was like, all right, because I haven't cranked up the generator. We live full time in our RV for years off a generator, and I haven't cranked it up in a few months. And last month, power went out, and I was like, all right, time to get the generator out. I haven't gotten it out in a few months, and I cranked it up, started right away. All right, but I was ready. I was like, let's go. And by the time I got it out, it was on for 45 minutes, and then the power came back on. But I was just ready. Wasn't worried. I was like, whatever, just generator time. Plug stuff in, and we were good to go. All right, so that's how it needs to be. You just see the news, it hits, and it's like, all right, well, preps are ready. We're good. We're prepared, and we're insulated. So thank you guys. I hope you have big blessings for your life and your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.